So our next conversation is titled Trade-Offs in the Wild, Real-World Assets Case Studies on Balancing Decentralization, Security, and Scalability in Blockchain Projects. Our speakers, we have Babacar Seck, the CEO of Petale. Welcome to the stage. We have Sabine Van Haecke-Lepic Ph.D., lecturer and researcher. We have Markus Infanger, VP of RippleX Growth from Ripple. And moderating our conversation today, we have Richard Neve from Cognito Media. So sit back and enjoy, guys. Thank you.
Sabine is already leaving us, so she's afraid of Markus and Babacar, I think. Yeah. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome everybody here in Paris for what I think will be the actually opening of Proof of Talk, because this will be the most important lecture today. I don't want to say you can go home after this one, but this will be, we try to be the most inspiring. My name is Richard Neve. I'm with an advertising and PR agency, so only slogans and pictures from me, but the actual content comes from this esteemed panel, Markus from Ripple, Sabine with the academic, scientific and law touch, and Babacar with his unique business perspective. Well, hopefully we'll inspire you, and if you really need to shout out a question, please do, because we like interaction. Sabine, would you open the floor? Because you said I want to set the scene, and I'll cut you off when you're talking too long.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, happy to be here, and happy to share my expertise. And I think that the most important is the next generation for market will be tokenization. So I think this page is very, very important, okay? And I think that the promise of Web3 is a declaration of the independence of cyberspace. And the question is how technology, and in particular in blockchain, move the cursor of the foundation of the law and show the fundamental of the Republic an enormous, but we have problem of trust. So, yes, I think the potential of tokenization is enormous, but the issue of trust in programmable technology such as blockchain and AI must be solved first.
Okay. Well, thank you, Sabine. Must be solved first. We spoke, obviously, before this amazing panel. Babacar said, what we need is volume.
Yeah, Babacar said,
How can we achieve that, and what will your role be in it?
Yeah, Babacar, I'm the CEO and founder of Petale. Petale is a company based in Paris, and we are contributing on creating trust and providing the framework for doing asset tokenization, which is, as you know, it's a new way of just creating wealth. And for that, we need to work on a step-by-step basis and taking into account the fundamentals that make financial a success since centuries. So that means we need to work on the way of creating trust with creating the rules that create what make adoptions a success every time that a new technology arrives on the landscape. We need to create the clear rule for the regulations that is necessary to get an adoption of the financial product. But we need also to be clear on what we provide to the financial industry. It's generic, but...
Yeah, talk about the financial world and let's say the more traditional world. Markus, you're from Ripple, but your background is in a traditional financial environment. We also talked about how the traditional financial world will be able to interact with the more, let's say, the modern technologies and all the new things that are happening. How do you see that, and how will that eventually drive to volume for everybody?
So my key takeaway is, tokenization will only get to mass adoption if large financial institutions are part of it. So if we help and change the system from the inside out. Now the promise is massive, right? There's like 280 or between 250 and 500 trillion, depending on what sort of source you look at, of real world assets, right? And if you look at how much is actually tokenized right now, the whole crypto market cap is like 1.1 trillion, and that includes a lot of non-real world assets. Stable coins, which is one form of real world assets, like 120 billion, right? And so if you look at financial institutions, they're like, they're certainly interested in tapping into that opportunity, because the traditional financial system is full of red tape. It has a lot of middlemen, and that's exactly what blockchain technology is designed to deliver, right? And I think
absolutely, but quite a lot of the regulators, specific in the US, say no, 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 not allowing these traditional financial firms to even step in to this environment, even to learn. Maybe Sabine, from an academic perspective, will this stalemate maybe create more division than cooperation?
Yeah, definitely. I think that mass adoption needs trust and security, and I think that the working trust of reintroducing the bridge between cyberspace and the real world through the notion of trusted third parties.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, and Babacar, talking about trust, talking about with trust also, a key thing in trust is relationships. I mean, trust is between two parties, and you need an interface.
Yeah, absolutely.
You need to be able to link. And at Petale, you talked to me, interfacing and offering, let's say, bridges is part of our proposition. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the way that the financial industry had been designed, you have all the time an intermediary that play the role of the guys that take the risk of the transaction. And if you go into the decentralized world, you have nobody that take that risk, right? If you decide, for instance, to tokenize these buildings, and you get a lot of opportunity for people all around the globe to invest a fractional shares of the building, and they have a financial problems or a legal problem, you have to find who get the liability of the transaction, who is going to handle the problems. And this is the main challenge we are facing when we talk about tokenization.
So
is
more
how
arbitrage.
we're building. And the way I think we believe that we can do that is creating some partnership with the legacy worlds that would like to play a role, like the initiative that our lawyer Logion, for instance, that can say, okay, you guys can do transaction with your technology, but we can oversee what you do, and we help you increase the trust by doing some audits. But you also have companies that do audits. On our case, with Petale, we are working with one of the big 4 companies. I don't want to mention the name. Maybe we're going to talk to be sure that what we are building is good in terms of security, but in terms of best practice when we deliver our platform. And this is the way that you guys should, I think you did in the past at Ripple, but it's important to have, for instance, a code review, the architecture review, and have also the financial and legal review of things we do.
Yeah, okay. But then, Markus, when we talk about regulatory reviews, audits, all the words that Babacar used, too much, will that actually be needed in this decentralized world? Will it kill the vibe of blockchain?
I mean, it's a fair question, right? If you over-regulate anything, right, it will create massive administrative burdens for the companies that want to provide services, right? We see that with the financial industry. I think they spend like, I don't know, 10% or even more of their revenue for compliance and being compliant with regulation. So I think, on the one hand, the technology needs to be compatible with the existing regulation for it to really solve problems today, right? And we need to find the right balance between tapping into blockchain technology but being really able to deliver value.
So you don't believe in, let's say, 2 isolated worlds who simply do their own thing apart from each other, not connecting. You believe in eventually there must be a seamless connection to the, let's call it, traditional world and the new environment.
So by the way, this is what Ripple has been about since the first instance. We have built solutions that deliver value today by connecting blockchain technology together with an application around which we call RippleNet, a payments network. And we do billions of dollars of payment volume today, instantly, free of cost, in remittance corridors that are popular.
Exactly.
And so we do that by combining certain elements of what you would consider DeFi and CeFi. And so I believe if you want to be demonstrating the promise of this technology, if you want to drive regulatory clarity, if you want to drive adoption, you need to compromise using this technology as opposed to going full decentral, peer-to-peer. Yeah. People aren't always nice with each other.
Okay, Sabine, do you agree? Yes. Will that combination, will that, let's say, working together and look for seamless infrastructure between DeFi and CeFi, I like that, will that accelerate the acceptance and trust?
Yes, I think that we need to create a legal infrastructure. I think that it's not the solution to have regulation.
But hang on. Yeah. A legal infrastructure. It almost sounds that politicians will then decide for us what's important. Let's not do that.
The ambition is to create. The ambition of cyberspace is code is law. But code is law, we have a lot of problem every time, every day. We have a problem of security, a problem of trust. And now we must integrate the true principle and value of the rule of law in the infrastructure. I think that in the infrastructure is not an option for a digital democracy. To integrate rule of law.
Yeah, but at Petale, I mean, we talked about interfacing between the various worlds.
Yeah, the way we do it is there is a technology we call smart contract, which is a set of code that you write down and that execute a contract. Which is
but who governs the code?
It's not
but it's the ITs guys that build up the code and the business. And today the way the process is building is you have legal companies that can audit the contract, and you have technical guys that do the smart contract, and you have the CEO that oversee if everything is okay or having legal advisory. And if you want to build a bridge, I think we have to build a set of process within companies where we can be sure that the smart contract we have built and we put at the industry is doing exactly what we have written down into the contract. So there is no dispute on that way, and we execute the mission.
Markus?
Yeah. I just want to quickly weigh in on this in relation to smart contracts. Segue into another different element that I feel really is a big inhibitor of mass adoption, which is just security of the code, right? And so smart contract is amazing to drive innovation, but it's also introducing vulnerabilities. It's often complex code. There has been $3 billion in hacks, that affected DeFi, I think, only in the last year. So I think in terms of design principles and safety, there's a lot that can be done. So reduce single point of failures like oracles in some of the DeFi chains, and focus more on native primitives that are dependency-free, immutable, that can then really function to enforce security and user safety. And so the XRP ledger that Ripple contributes code to is really built on a lot of these native features, hence we don't see these hacks there.
Will it need third-party governance, or will the governance be in the system from your perspective?
So, there's a lot of promises with sort of like on-chain governance that's even decentralized, and I think it's something to definitely explore and innovate. And by the way, for all the aspects, including compliance like DID, zero-knowledge proof, for privacy and etc. So there needs to be a bottom-up innovation, but we need to start somewhere where it works today, right? And that means compromising, as mentioned initially, and then over time, hopefully, there will be more elegant solutions that this technology can provide, like on-chain forensics.
So people,
maybe one day accepted by a regulator, right?
I'm getting to Sabine in a second. So people will, you say, we will have elegant solutions, but people...
I firmly believe in that.
Yeah, but people will have to accept, and with people, I mean politicians, traditional thinkers, and others, some, let's say, fluctuations now to get to the elegant solutions in the future. Okay.
So
Sabine,
just one last thought.
Hang on. First, Markus, and one last thing.
Yes. imagine the whole financial system would run on, Ethereum and all the other
The
sort
whole
of
financial
blockchain.
system.
Imagine. Would
Let's
that
close
be a good
all our
thing?
eyes and think about that for 1 second. Yes, and then?
So what I'm just saying is, like, it probably wouldn't be a good thing, and it's a big deal when you see what happened in the global financial crisis. It put like some 64 million people into extreme poverty. So the economy is important, right? And so I think, we need to innovate, we need to drive real-world adoption and solutions and evolve together with the system. And yeah, that's what Ripple has been doing since the beginning, as mentioned.
Oh. Drawing with glasses. Sabine, please.
Yes.
Because I saw you want to react to Markus.
Yeah, definitely. I think that the bridge can be the proof of flow, because you can have the bridge between the smart contract, no smart or no contract, definitely, and who behind the code, okay? Who do a protocol? So I think definitely we can have a bridge with third party, and they build a new legal infrastructure for the Web3.
Yeah, but the infrastructure should be, let's say, the code of law.
On-chain. On-chain
Exactly.
with a link off-chain.
Okay, there we go. Babacar?
Definitely.
And
Yeah,
Petale will, of course, provide this.
Yeah, Petale
Done.
is providing all this principle already, because the way we design our business is as we are tokenizing real-world assets that are regulated by their own codes and regulation, we have to take care on the assessments of those assets, the risk of those assets, and who own those assets, and what will become the asset after the collective ownership, because this is something new. Tokenization is bringing something very fantastic on our industry, which is it's modernizing the financial economy. It's bringing the flexibility that bring the blockchain. It's also bringing a lot of opportunity. And the CEO of BlackRock is mentioning that 20% of our GDP will be tokenized in 2013. It's about 5 to 6 years, right? 7 years from now. And we start building that economy right now. Someone are calling this the tokenizing economy or tokenized economy. And a lot of people show a lot of interest. And Petale is participating with Ripple, and we were talking with some bankers that have very great interest on that. And the way we do that is building a bridge where our legal people have a role to play there, audit companies as well, and our own teams, and the court is playing a role as well. But it have to be done as we do on alchemy, a good combination of things, and to make it flowing smoothly.
I don't know if alchemy is the right word to use when we're looking for trust and when we're looking for substance and code of law. Markus, you have been working in more traditional environments, in financial services. You must meet some of your previous colleagues who also worked at banks and asset managers. Are they still think you're nuts that you move to the dark side? Or do slowly financial institutions embrace what is happening here?
I think it comes and goes in waves, but the waves are getting a bit more, shallow.
Are the waves
narrow.
connected to the let's say, the rate of Bitcoin?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
But
But look, at the beginning, I joined this industry tail end of 2018, and the conversations have been very, very different than, say, 2021, when you saw validation by, the largest financial institution in terms of, just allowing customers exposure into crypto assets. And banks like, BNY Mellon, JP Morgan, Bank of America, all really publicly speaking out about, piloting around tokenization, but also just allowing customers access to crypto assets and so forth. So I think, what I can say, if anyone here is not in the crypto industry, in the financial industry, this industry is really about creating something. And it's creating something better and helping the financial system to transform, to allow better access. 25% of the world population doesn't have access to, it's basically just a cash economy. And so the traditional financial system, the way I experienced, was more about preservation. I'm not saying there's no innovation, and a lot of banks are looking into this stuff, but we need, people like we have in the crypto industry who are innovating aggressively, who are creating, who are taking risks, and then all together we can, we can iterate the financial system that we know.
Absolutely, we will. Sabine, from a more, let's say, academic point of view, talking about that innovation, and we're looking for trust and we're looking for understanding both ways. We already talked about that basically governance should be in the infrastructure embedded.
Yeah.
How do you see, from an academic point of view, changes in the discourse, changes in the discussion regarding this? Are people still seeing it as two things apart, or do people look, when it comes to legislation, to combine traditional with more the modern environment?
Yes. I think we have so much regulation. I am teacher in law, and definitely I think we are not able to absorb all the regulation. So I think it's very important to see maybe the new methodology to help the innovation to increase. Yeah.
Yeah, but then of course at some point you simply have to trust the party that you're working with.
Yeah.
And I'm very interested in how Babacar looks at that. Sometimes you can, let's say, create trust by by law, rules. But sometimes you can create trust by shaking a hand and simply say, I trust this person. How can, for instance, Petale, for all its business partners and stakeholders, show you can trust us?
Yeah.
Apart from your amazing appearance, of course.
Yeah. Actually, the way we can build a trust is just by doing what we call in France pedagogy. It's just we need to explain people that tokenization will gonna kill the traditional finance, and it will not gonna.
It will not?
Not gonna kill the traditional finance.
It will not kill traditional finance. I thought that's what we were here for in Paris today.
And it will gonna create opportunity for peoples and organizations and the countries to be richer than we were before tokenization. You have to see it like the fax services when you are sending papers to the electronic things, and then we replace that by email, and now we are doing instant messaging. It's the same for financial instrument. Today we have the opportunity of creating new financial services that any people can create by going into a collective thinking and create a financial product that go into a proof processing.
So
and
that means
you need to democratize the process and to explain.
That means that also the threshold to enter the financial arena, the threshold for a let's say, financial institution to start to offer financial services is also lower.
Yeah, absolutely.
Access
We increase
for
the
all.
cost. We decrease the cost of issuing asset on chain, and then we just democratize with the volume. And in that way, my grandfather can tokenize his beautiful painting, and say, I can monetize this because I need cash for going to holiday, or I need investing cash for my children. They can create life project based on operational.
So access.
activities.
How do you at Ripple see that? Is that indeed something you also see, a lower threshold, more entry for others who simply are not able to enter that very specific market before?
So look, I think that's essentially one of the key pain points the blockchain technology is designed to solve, right? It reduces middlemen, it kind of like fractionalizes entry points in terms of real world asset tokenization, and that means it provides a lower threshold for people to access. Now, should everything be peer-to-peer and decentralized in a one utopian world in the future? I'm not so sure about that. I feel it's about like decentralization is not a switch. It's kind of like a journey, right? It's a process. And blockchain technology can really help kind of like reduce these red tapes and solve for the friction that we have been in the existing system.
It can't be a solution for everything and anything because nothing ever is.
Right.
So you have to understand there always will be a more traditional environment with traditional rule book and traditional code of law, but there will be something else adjacent. Sabine, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought this was like an elaborate answer, but no. We have a few minutes left before basically this session is over. I was very keen to learn a little bit more about innovation. You touched upon that a few times in your answers, Markus. You're running quite a lot of innovative projects at Ripple. Can you explain a little bit about the direction you guys are heading?
Yes, so I talk a little bit about the XRP Ledger, which is essentially public open source blockchain that Ripple works with and is one of the core developers alongside other developers. And so that blockchain was essentially designed with sort of institutional grade financial use cases in mind. So it's very cheap to make a transaction, fraction of a cent. It's very fast, 3 to 5 seconds, and it's scalable, and it has been battle tested. It's had 2.5 billion transactions in its 11-year history, more than any other blockchain, and has never had any security breach or something alike. And so it was designed with things like payments in mind, but we see also a lot of tokenization happening, non-fungible and functional as fungible. So for example, there's real estate projects. One is called Proper Home, based in Portugal, who are building a real estate market to buy, sell, and rent property on the XRP Ledger. There's carbon credit or carbon market projects that help to basically, make sure carbon credits are counted correctly and not double counted and so forth. And then there's, a lot of efforts from our side for CBDCs as well. We're engaging with like 12 or dozens of central banks. 4 pilots have been publicly announced already. And so there's a lot of interest from kind of like, stable coin side as well. And so we definitely, put a lot of emphasis on sort of like this notion of institutional adoption of blockchain finance. And then on the Ripple net side of our house, we sort of help to really abstract these complexities to be able to interact, the seamless user experience, this usability that sometimes lacks if you need to plug in directly with these protocols. And so that's kind of like how we use this blockchain, for example.
And are you happy with the current, let's say, rule book? Because we talked about trust and rule book before. For now, happy, they should simply leave it for 3 years and...
I wouldn't say that's quite the truth. I mean, we have been very passionate about engaging with regulators. We have engaged with a lot of regulators. There's a lot of positive developments in places like Singapore, Japan, Brazil, the UAE, where you see really, and obviously the EU, right, with MiCA. It's maybe not, as a crypto native person, it's not perfect, but at least it's clear. Whereas in the US, which is obviously a very important market, you see this, kind of like this clarity being resolved through litigation, which I personally believe is not the most constructive.
And litigation never ends in the US. Are you standing up? You want to
am.
cut this off?
No. We have time for 2 questions, just to let you know.
2 questions from the room. Yeah? Well, I'll give Sabine and Babacar one final statement, starting with Sabine. You want to say something, and then we'll give the floor to whoever wants to ask a question. Sabine, one final statement?
Yeah, just I want to add the new methodology to emerge innovation is sandbox regulatory, and it's very, very interesting to help blockchain to become legal infrastructure. Trust. Yeah.
All right.
So
Babacar, final statement?
Yeah, thank you. I would like to just mention again that as a scientist and engineers, I'm very fascinated, have a lot of about the creation, the creativity, the energy we have within the crypto world, the blockchain, and this tokenization. It's the first time that young people come and create new things and just trying to change the way that we can do business and create opportunity. And at Petale, we are building this decentralized exchange that the different country can use to allow asset to be tokenized on a very simple way at the speed of light.
Well, the speed of life as well.
Of life is fine as well. Yeah.
Cool.
And then we're very, very happy to share more about what we do at Petale and share with Ripple and the other.
Okay, cool. Thank you. You wanted to ask some people if they have a question.
We have time for 1 or 2 questions from the audience.
Yeah, or 15. Depends how smart they are, which she will judge.
Hello. So my question is, how do you provide confidence, especially to investor, that your real assets token are properly backed?
And who do you want to, who do you want to answer, from whom do you want an answer?
So especially, I think Babacar will be the one.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, yes, we talked about trust earlier, okay? And we need to give trust to investor first of their capital. So the way we have designed our business and is to give them what we call a proof of reserve, because the protocol is bringing liquidity on the on chain, and we have to use that protocol for investing. So we just give transparency of what we do with the money of people, and we invest into real world economy. And this is important because real world economy is impacting real life.
Yeah.
Okay? And if you do just, I don't criticize with my colleagues that do trading, but we are creating just bridge for creating things for the real life of people. Okay? And the other trust, a layer of trust we provide is we build a set of mechanisms on the smart contract to be auditable, and then we make it transparent on chain in Ethereum in such way that everything we do is very clear, and we use the code to secure the transaction we have with investors, okay? And the last thing we do is we do, as the legacy world was doing, a publication of report on the asset. And we have different class of asset, real estate, exceptional painting, you know, for which we work with Institute of France. This type of painting you see here, you might see them, show them into the Petale platform, and you can buy a portion of that painting very soon. We are working on that. So this is transparency is key for trust, and then delivering promise as well.
Okay. Satisfied?
Thank you.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah?
Yep.
Done?
I'm done.
Are you done? Okay, no questions anymore. Well, Markus, one question. Shall we do it?
Really quickly, you want to shout?
We have a proof of existence on our protocol where you have the certificate of ownership of the building on our chain and our legal companies, and then you can look at the real asset that is the asset backed of that tokenization. And if it is financial product, we just give you the reference for just tracking the financial product on the different banking institution or obligation, or yeah, we give the proof that you own something on the real world. We use a third party for just looking the things and to audit. It's the third party principle.
Third party, or maybe a lawyer, or maybe a notary, public notaries, or maybe huissier de justice. I don't know in English.
Yeah, it's the legal notification.
It's a bridge with huissier de justice, and it's very, very interesting because they are like coffre-fort.
Yeah, it's a custody.
Real world with.
Yeah, it's the financial instrument. You know, like when you issue a financial instrument in the traditional world, you need to use a bank that make the contract, and the bank is acting as a trust party. So the way we imagine the tokenization, we might have a consortium of legal companies that just act as a trust party.
To have
the transaction.
To have proof of flow.
Thank you, because look, the other panelists are already waiting. They're sort of impatient to get on stage. Thank you, Markus. Thank you, Sabine.
Thank you to our
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate that.